Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. Now, when it comes down to New Orleans Saints, last year they were pass interference away from being in the Super Bowl, possibly, maybe. There was a lot of game left, so we don't know. But realistically, it was a bad call. I agree, Saints fan. It was a horrendous call. But when you look at the Saints last year, they were a pretty decent team, both sides of the ball. Defensively, they got off to a really bad start, but they found their own. They settled down. I think they were still shooken up off the Minnesota play, but realistically, they settled down once the season really got into the full swing of things. They found their identity. They found themselves, and they became a really scary, dominant defense. They're a defense that could take care of business, hold their own when need be, and then put the ball back in Drew Brees' hands. And that was the most important thing. Like, when people kept comparing it to the other Saints team that won the Super Bowl, I felt like that defense, this year's defense, or last year's defense, if you will, was better than that Super Bowl winning defense. They had so many good players out there. You got Cam Jordan out there. You had Sheldon Rankins out there, who was one of my favorite players. You had Demario Davis running around like he was a rookie trying to make the roster, like he was balling out. Marshawn Lattimore, he's a really good corner. You had a lot of good players out there that were just balling out and going crazy last year. And so I was really excited to watch this Saints defense. But then you flip it to the other side of the ball. The Saints offense was just as dominant and just as scary, a.k.a. Alvin Kamara. And just everything that they were doing on the offensive side of the ball was just as good. Now, I think what really hurt them down the stretch was one thing is they tried to address it with Dez Bryant, and he got hurt, but they didn't have that number two receiver. They didn't have that I guess technically it would be third or fourth option in the pecking order. Because, I feel like Alvin Kamara is the number one option. Michael Thomas is number two. And then it kind of just drops off from there. When Mark Ingram was still there, he was a guy that can actually tote the rock and take care of business. But it was just, they were missing something as far as being that third option, that fourth option on the pecking order, as far as Drew Brees going to somebody. The Saints' best pick was Eric McCoy. Now, Eric McCoy is a guy that I feel like can grow with the younger part of this roster, a.k.a. Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Brees. Still help protect Drew Brees, but when Drew Brees leaves, I feel like Eric McCoy can still be a staple of this offensive line. They have some good offensive line pieces in place already. You go get a guy like Eric McCoy that can solidify the middle of your offensive line. Not saying he's going to do some of the things Max Unger did, but I think he can be that kind of center for the Saints. He's going to be that guy that you can understand and a guy that you feel comfortable starting every Sunday, that you know that's going to know his protections, that's going to set up the other offensive linemen for success, and then definitely put everybody in the position they need to be in. So as far as helping the run game, sealing off gaps, things like that. And I mean, is it possible, but making Alvin Kamara even a better running back? It's going to be, that dude is already dangerously scary. So you put a guy like Eric McCoy in the middle of this offensive line, I think that Alvin Kamara becomes a better player. And then also, most importantly, you protect Drew Brees up the middle. And then once Drew Brees retires, this guy's young enough to the point where he can still run with Teddy Bridgewater. He can run with a guy like Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. The Saints have a lot of young guys. They're just now still trying to turn over and still trying to find themselves and still coming into their own. So a guy like Eric McCoy is the perfect pick for the New Orleans Saints. Now, the pick that the Saints made that I liked the most was Chauncey Gardner Johnson. I feel like he's a hybrid linebacker, if you will. I think I've heard John Gruden say it one time. This is like the made-up position of linebacker safety. But this guy is going to be more or less a corner safety combo. He's a guy that can come out in dime packages or nickel packages, and he's going to be a guy that can take away tight ends, running backs, and things like that. And that's really why I'm excited to watch him play for the Saints, because he's going to be a guy that can do so much more for the Saints as far as helping them defensively. I know you still got Marcus Williams there, and I know you still got Von Bell there, but I feel like he's a guy that can play some nickel corner, that safety position. He could do a lot more combo sets. And with that being said, I think that he can also be a defensive chess piece, if you will. There it is. I think he could be that chess piece for the Saints that the Saints are kind of missing defensively. Like I said, this defense was already scary. You had a guy like Johnson. I think that now they get that chess piece, that piece that can move around with some of the other mismatches and hopefully take some of those people away and not be so much, bring the mismatch back into the favor of the defense and not really put the Saints on their heels. When it comes down to the Saints' final grade, I give them a B, B minus, somewhere in that range. I feel like they were a team that had a lot of faith in their current roster. They felt like they didn't need to have a strong draft class, if you will. They needed some key players, and they got some of those players. They addressed them as the draft went along. Eric McCoy being the nugget, the go-to, the gold mine, the guy that they needed the most. I feel like they hit with that pick. Marcus Davenport is part of this draft class because of the pick and the way they traded up. So hopefully he can come out and make an even bigger impact for them this year, because now this is his year. This is us. Don't prove us wrong. Say that you're the guy that we needed, that were the missing piece as far as helping Cam Jordan get after the quarterback. But realistically, I feel like the worst thing they did put too much faith and too much into this roster. I feel like they could have got back into this draft somehow. I'm not sure. They didn't have very many picks, and the picks that they did have, They went out and got another tight end. They got another safety. And those are guys that I feel like they didn't need, like, right then and there. They went out. I think now they got Jared Cook on roster now. So it's like now you didn't really need to go get a tight end. Maybe you go get another impactful player. I'm not sure what position. But realistically, I just didn't see the Saints. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this draft was missing something for it to be an A. But they just they put too much faith in their roster, but I understand they have probably one of the more, probably I would say top 3 talented rosters in the league with all the talent and all the players that they already have in place. So I can understand why they didn't feel like they needed to do much in this draft class. They were willing to give up that first round pick because where they would have been picking, there was nothing left there. You probably would have wound up trading back anyways. So why not go ahead and use that pick and go get a guy like Marcus Davenport to really improve your pass rush when you could last year, instead of waiting to all the way this year and probably picking from the scraps if you really think about it. If you're a New Orleans Saints fan, go ahead and let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you feel like that I gave them too high of a grade, too low of a grade, or there's picks or pieces that I missed in this draft class that you like over the 2 guys that I mentioned, just let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to be commenting right back. I love commenting. I love debating football. That's what I do. I do it daily. If you want to distract me with anything NFL, and I'm right in the mix of the conversation. But if you're not a footballologist yet, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel today, become a footballologist, and stay safe, football fans.